we live here, just inside the Green Line, and on the other side of the Green Line, we have Palestinians and settlers. We have religious and non-religious. We have Jews, Muslims, and Christians, all within where I live. And we very much believe it's worth talking to everybody and bringing in everybody that we can. Now, we're aware that there are some elements that may be less interested in peace. Nonetheless, we still make a point ourselves in meeting everybody, because even if they be actually fully brought in, at least if we understand what's important to them, then we can work together to try to make sure that nobody is left out. If you leave somebody out, they're more likely to become a spoiler. We would rather anybody who can be included, and if not, we would try to make sure that any spoilers that are out there will be accommodated in some way, or at the worst, just left to some extent on the sidelines. We don't want anybody against what we're trying to do here. So we would include everyone we can. No, I don't support boycotting Israel. And it's not because I believe it's in principle something wrong to do. I view it as a legitimate form of resistance to Israeli policies. But the reason I don't support it is I don't believe it will ever get a positive reaction from Israel. Israelis have a mindset, sadly, that the world is against us, and whenever we see anything that appears to be the world ganging up on us, it just makes us behave all the more as though our backs are against the wall, and Israelis seem to just dig their heels in that circumstance. So whilst I don't think there's anything in principle wrong with BDS, I don't think it will get a positive reaction from Israelis in general, and it's much better to try to engage us positively and constructively. You can talk to us, even some of the more hardcore amongst us. I think the right way is to talk to us as human beings. First off, yes, the EU should be involved. Israel and Palestine don't exist in a vacuum here. The Western world and the Arab world, both of those worlds have played a significant role in creating this situation, and we very much need your help in helping us out of this situation into a better one. So please don't vacate the field, even though I'm aware it's not easy. This isn't an easy game to solve, but we need you. And if I speak specifically about the European Union, I think absolutely, you have a very important role. The Palestinians certainly value your participation. And from a personal point of view, I very much feel that the European mindset is something we need to have on board. At the end of the day, we need as many people involved as possible, as I said earlier, and that includes everybody outside. We should not forget here on the ground that there are many, many people outside who are very interested in what goes on in this land. It is the Holy Land for about half of the world's population. And so we know it matters to you, and so you matter to us. We need your help. And the one thing I would say, though, is it might help if the European Union was willing to open up its mind to other possibilities than the standard way that the United Nations approaches problems, generally speaking, by cutting the land up, and it doesn't always work. South Sudan is the most recent example of where carving up a land that had some problems didn't end up producing a good result. And so I would like to suggest that yes, we need you to think outside the box with us. Okay, well, we've been trying the two-state solution for a long time. It hasn't happened, not for want of trying, it would seem. I very much, when I lived in Tel Aviv, fundamentally believed in two states for two peoples. Now that I live where I live, right by the Green Line, I've discovered that we're all much more interconnected here, and trying to separate us would be painful and counterproductive to much of what we can do here. I very much believe that both Jews and Palestinians belong in this land, and it is one land. And when I go into my daughter's school, an Israeli school, I see a map that includes the West Bank. And when I go into my Palestinian friend's, his son's school, I see the same map, but it's called Palestine there. And all of this land is important to all of us. So carving it up won't give either of us what we really dream of. It will create two half-lands. There's only one holy land in the world, and none of us here want to cut it up. And so that may be one of the reasons why the two-state solution hasn't actually happened. Because particularly when I talk to Palestinians, they don't talk, not the Palestinians on the ground. If you talk to Palestinian politicians, then they may be perfectly happy to be governing a section of this land. But the people want to be connected to all. They talk about freedom of movement, to worship any of the holy sites, and that too. Hebron, deep inside the West Bank, is very important to all of us because we all claim descent from Abraham. So there is much that we have in common here. And so trying to separate us isn't what we really want. Now, so that's the two-state solution and why it maybe hasn't happened. The one-state solution may be too much for many here to accept. Therefore, yes, the idea of a confederation or something that's in between in some ways is very appealing if we could get it right. What's important here is that each of the two peoples will feel that we have sovereignty, but we would like it to be that we can go and worship and live anywhere in this land if that is possible. Now, of course, working out how to do that, confederation could be the closest normal approach to that. But I would say that maybe we need to think a little less one-dimensionally about the idea of states. If we look at the European Union and take the example of Catalonia within Spain, within the European Union, or Scotland within the United Kingdom, perhaps in the European Union or perhaps not, waiting to see what's going to happen there. But the point is, the idea that it's very much cut up the map into state, state, state. People necessarily want it away from this land, that the people have local concerns where they want local government, but they'll be part of something bigger in some situations and bigger in some other situations. And I think that needs to be the solution that we look at. We shouldn't get so hung up on how many states it is. We should be more focused on what people living here actually need, to what extent we want to be part of it, on what areas we want to be governed very much locally, and to what and extents other items, we want to be as one. The first step should be, this should be collaborative. We all need to be working on this together, and we need to open up the playing field again. We've been trying very hard down one particular route, and the first thing to do is recognize, okay, it's probably time to look at some alternatives. Let's get together, let's talk about all those potential alternatives with an open mind, and then find what will work best for the people here and also for the people outside who are interested in it too. That's what we should do.